Okay, I'm going to try and tie the Flexo Crab, also called the Alphlexo Crab. It's used in a sort of a mesh body, like this. Okay, the outcome hopefully is something like that. Okay, we're going to tie this one with the green chartreuse weighted eyes. You can all do them in many colours. Okay, that's a red eye for the bead underneath. Okay, the beads themselves actually come from Taman, which is a Polish company, I believe. These are fluorescent pink. These are the red ones. Actually, they look quite orange, but these are classed as red. And these are the chartreuse ones, which I quite like. Okay, we're going to use the GSP thread 100. It is very strong, ideal for this because you need to pull it down tight. The hook is the TMCO 811S stainless hook, and on this I'm going to tie an underbody. A lot of the patterns don't actually put anything in the flex material, but I'm going to put some of this blend of the funky crystal in olive and the caramel frosty fibre, which is quite nice. Now I'm going to take a little snip of each and blend those together, and what it does, it gives you a sort of an effect. Let's just close that off, push that into a crab shape. It actually gives you a sort of a thing. Now bear in mind that you're going to be fishing these in very bright sun, and hopefully when the sun catches that, the colours I've chosen is a personal preference. You can try any colour you like, really. Right, let's put this in place and give it a go. Okay. Right, firstly lay down a layer of the GSP thread. Trim mine off using a scalpel, use sharp scissors, that's what you prefer. Take the thread back up to sort of midway point, not critical, and tie in whatever colour eye you're going to be using. Lash it in really tight. Do the turns under the body as well, and then go back across them as this pulls down those turns really tight. And then wind it back to the bend. Now it's perfectly tight enough. The body, once it goes over there, is going to keep all this in place. So the next stage is to take a little pinch of each of the fibres that we're going to be using, and they are the fibres. I'm going to just simply mix those together. You'll see how they just mix. Okay. Now this is quite messy, this stage. Okay, you just need to lay them across and just lash them in. Doesn't have to be fantastic because the body's going to keep it all in place. Okay. Now, for each of these crabs on a size 4, it takes about 10 centimetres of this material. Now, the next one is a little bit more difficult because you're trying to keep them separated, but it's not critical again. Just try and tease those apart on the next turn. Use a dubbing needle. again once over that way. Okay, so they don't have to be very secure, because the body will keep all this in place. It's just going to lay down an underbody. Scissors, just trim off this. Come to the other side of the eyes. I'm not going to put one on this side. Just going to leave room for the head. Okay. That is good enough. Okay. Right, just tie a double hitch on there. And just cut off the GSP thread, don't need it for a second. And then we're just going to trim these in a rough dish shaped to a sort of same sort of shape as the crab's body. Do it so I don't obscure the lens. It's only a rough shape, because what will happen next is the body will go over that, and it's probably good enough. What will happen next is the flex material. I need about 5 centimeters of it for a size 4. I'll just show you what happens. Once we push it over, and sort of wiggle it about a bit, so the fibres start coming through the edges. Okay, which is what we want. And then once we put it into a crab shape, hopefully you will see, you start getting a nice underbody that will actually reflect the sun when it hits it. Okay, so that's the first stage done. I'll just remove this and we'll go on to the next stage. Okay, for the next stage we're going to be tying in the body. We're going to be using the GSP 100. We're going to tie the Flexi body in. The Flexi body is 4mm diameter. We're going to start by just whipping the thread onto the back of the hook. Doesn't matter if you catch some of the fibres in, it just adds to the effect. Trim off that. And then cut off 5 centimeters of this. This is the Flexo Crab body. It's available from a couple of sources. Now you see that it's actually got a natural bend on it where it's been stored. I like to put that side under the fly, because that's going to be the side that's facing upwards that the fish hopefully is going to see. Okay, so slide it on, and it should just pass through the thread. The fibres of this flex will open up. Do the wiggling about to get those fibres to come through the edge. So it is a bit messy, it doesn't look very good when you're doing it, but the effect is really good. Okay, so when you're happy that you've got most of those caught through, okay, is just tie it, catch it down. Now, so pull down tight on this. Okay. Don't make too big a tie in at the back. we're going to sort that out in a second. Put some double hitches over that. And take away the thread just for a minute. Okay. Now don't use your best scissors for this, because this stuff is quite strong and it doesn't do good with this fine ones any good. So just trim off as much as you possibly can. Doesn't have to be really tight to the thread. Just do those little bits. Okay, and that's probably good enough. Just that last one there. Because what we're going to do now, we're going to use the cautery knife. Used this before. It is a really handy tool, and it saves your scissors no end. So we're just going to turn it on. Don't touch the thread, because it will just ping apart. Right, that's probably good enough now. You can now go over it with the thread again. And just taper off. Now, don't take the flexi body too far around the bend, because you will start obscuring the hook point. Now, the point of getting this done like this is it will stop the flexi material being pushed back around the bend when we do the other end. Okay, just tie that off now. Pull nice and tight and get rid of that. Tail end is finished now, apart from a little touch of super glue. Nasty thread there. There you go. Come away. I use the Zapatac and the full-in mill, either one with a brush. Okay, just touch that in, just to secure all the thread there. Now don't do as I do. Don't forget that you've now just put super glue on the end, so keep your fingers away for a few minutes. Now you see when you form the body, the back end doesn't push away. Okay, so we're just going to tease the bits out again. Okay. Right, now we need to tie on the front end. This is the end I do struggle with. So now that you've got something to push against at the back, I find it much easier. Okay, just turn that way. So push the body material back until it forms that sort of nice crab shaped disc. Just turn that over a little bit so you can see it. Yeah. Now get the thread and try and keep back from the eye. Don't worry if it changes shape, we can always flatten that out in a minute. this is why the GSP thread is the best thread for these. It lets you pull it down really tight. So let's trim away some of these loose ends. Again, they don't have to be too tight to the thread. We're going to sort those out with a cautery knife. Just take your time when you're doing these. You don't want to snip the thread. It is the most annoying bit because you've got to start the body all over again. Okay, yep, good enough. So finish off the thread, a couple of half hitches. Okay. Right, so cautery knife, very carefully, try and steady your hand if you can. Just going to clear away the flex material, keep the eye nice and clear. Turn the vise to make it easier for yourself. Because it is warming it up, you can actually rub your fingers over it and smooth it. I'm actually going to leave it like that, I think. If you go one step too far, you actually catch the thread and it ruins the whole thing. So now we've got the flex material on there, we've got the underbody, we've got the weight, and they're tied off at the ends. We've got a little bulge there, but that's not a problem. We sort that one out. There we go. And you'll see that we've got a basic shape. Let's take that out. Got a nice basic crab shape with lots of the under material sticking through it. Okay, now what we'll do, I'll just lower the vise away with a fine pair of scissors now. There's a loose thread there. Okay, we'll sort that one out in a minute. We're just going to trim off the bits of the body that are sticking through. Not critical, actually gives a sort of nice effect actually. Takes away the smoothness of the other material. I'll put it back in the vise. I'm actually going to super glue that one before I do anything else. And after I've trimmed off this little end here, that will be the body part finished. We'll be onto the legs, the claws and the eyes. So let's go on to that stage. Okay, for the legs to start with, we can either use this waspy fine chenille or the vineyards, both very very similar, same effect, and actually looks like this. Okay, what we're going to do is tie some knots in each end. These are for the legs, so about 1.5 centimeters from the end. Just tie an overhand knot not overly critical. We're going to trim these up in a minute. Okay, and the same the other end. Now then, if you have difficulty, like I seem to have at the moment, use a pair of tweezers or forceps. Just go through, grab the end and ease it through like that. Don't pull it down too tight. We're going to just adjust where the knot is, because that is going to sit in the body like that. And you can have one pair there, one pair in the middle, one pair at the front. And the front and the back ones are going to be about the same size. They're about 7 centimeters before you tie the knots in. So that's fine. We'll just tighten that one down. Okay, and then the centre one is a bit longer, and that's about 9 centimeters. Not critical. You just want it to lay across the body, and the knots in the legs are going to be the joints in the little legs. Okay, now they are a bit fiddly and they are a bit time consuming, so I've tied a few up. Okay, what you need is a bobbin threader like this. This is a new one. Doing this is actually quite heavy on them, so I actually use an old one. You can see it's been used a few times and bent up. Okay, so at a point on top of this one, this is going to be the back legs, just pass the thing through. Okay, so you've got the gap in the bobbin threader there. Now a pair of the shorter legs, we just pass that in and gently work it through the fibres of the, there we go, and take it out of that. Positioning isn't critical at the moment, but these legs are going to be pointing up in the air because this is going to be the downside of the crab, the underside. Okay, so once we're happy that they're in position, do the centre ones. Now to go a little bit lower down on these, because you get a wider part of the body. Bearing in mind you've got to fit 3 pairs of legs in, 2 claws and 2 eyes, so try and space it out accordingly. Okay, again, I'm going to pass that through there. This doesn't always work first time, so just be patient. This is, there we go. Take those out and position those. They're coming on nicely. Don't worry about the length, we're going to sort those out in a minute. And the last pair. Now these are the ones that you need to think about most, because this side of the crab you're going to have the eyes and the claws, so try and leave enough room to do that. And the idea with the bobbin threader, you can adjust it as you go through to see where it's going to come out the best. Okay, so last pair of legs going through. Beauty of this little flex material, it does spring apart to let things like that go through. Last leg out. There, legs are through. Perfect. Okay, we're going to adjust the lengths now. Now I will super glue these in place, but don't do it just yet because of the next stage, and it can go a little bit wrong, so you want to leave yourself a little flexibility so you can change it. So shorter legs, sort of front and back, roughly the same. Longer legs, a little bit longer after the knot. Now This is the tricky bit that can go wrong. So what you need is some form of lighter, cigarette lighter or a gas torch lighter for the gas rings, and we're just going to touch the ends of the legs, and I'll show you this one, and literally it's just touch it. Gives a lovely little end to the claw. Just need to turn the vise over to get that last one. Right. What can happen if you heat them up too much is that, which is why I don't glue them in the first place. Now that the ends are secure and happy with those, twist the legs so they're facing up in the air, and just a little touch of super glue to keep them in place. Same with all the other legs, just twiddle them around until they're facing up in the air. Don't forget, this is going to be in water. These legs are going to be wet, they're going to be moving, and hopefully the crab will just present itself in front of a fish, just so they get a glimpse of it. So this is more of an impression than a close copy of anything. Not actually seen any crabs that look like this. Now that leg's facing down, I just want to twist that one around. That's better. So they're all facing up in the air, which will be down in a minute. Okay, that's the legs finished. Let's give the super glue a minute to dry, and we'll come back and we'll do the claws and the eyes. Okay, next stage is the little claws. Take the fine chenille again. This is about 8 centimeters long. Fold it in half till you've got a loop like this, and tie an overhand knot. Again, quite fiddly when it's doubled like that, so I use forceps. Just pass those through, grab hold of the end and work it through. Pull that down nice and tight. Okay, so you need 2 of these, one for each of the claws obviously. Okay. Now at this point we are going to open those ends up and just pull them apart. Okay, so you've got that, and you'll do that twice. Now a lot of people will actually pull these into the body, no problem with that. I prefer to cut one off so it's just one in the body. It just, in my opinion, makes it more flexible in the water. Okay, so I'm going to do that. So that we end up with that. Now again, these ends are going to be just tapered. Just be careful. Now that is a nice little claw. Okay. Now, depending on what you're going to do, you can colour these in, you can leave them plain, but as we're going to be pulling them in to a crab, and it's now getting quite crowded. I'm going to colour them in now, and I'll show you how they finish up. Okay, these have been coloured in with a permanent marker, a green one, and hopefully you can see nice effect that gives. You can do them in blues, reds, whatever colour you fancy. Green seems to be a good pattern out in Crooked Island, so you need to do that for the other one as well. I'm just going to add a little bit to these, which we're going to do to the other legs as well in a minute, and that is just put some brown markers on the legs just for effect. Now I'm not sure if this is actually effective on the fish or for the angler. It actually just finishes them off, in my opinion. It just makes them look nice. Okay, so we're now going to thread these into the crab. Now bear in mind that the eyes have got to go in as well, and these are actually, you want these up in the air like this. They're going to be the angry part of the crab. So if you can, get your bobbin threader and from underneath take it through, leaving room for the eyes to go in as well. Okay, through, that's it. Take that out of the threader. Actually working in quite a confined space now in the crab. Now I'll show you the underside. What we've got is a little bit sticking out, which we can adjust the length of that claw. Now that's actually quite good, so I'm going to leave that as it is. I'm going to trim off the underside, and at this point I'm going to put a little bit of super glue on there as well. Turn that back over, I'll just flip it over that way. You can see the effect. You've got a claw, you're going to have another claw in there, and you're going to have two eyes. Okay, so I'm just going to tie up the other claw, and we'll come back to that. Okay, so I've put the second claw in, and I've actually put in one of the eyes. These are the veneered eyes. Okay, they come on a little nylon. There's the lens, there we are. They come in different colours. I prefer the black ones, but sort of preference. Okay, what you've got to try and do, you've left room, hopefully, where you've put the claws and the legs in. You're going to feed in one of these. There's lots of stuff inside the fly now, so you've got to try and work it through. If you can't work it through, you can always trim them off before you go this far. I think that's probably what I'm going to do now. Don't use your best scissors. Just trim something like that. So it's going to give it a good grip in the fly. And you can see from my fingers that I didn't allow the green claws to dry before I started tying this. So this is more about, as much as how to tie the fly, it's how not to do things as well. So just try and find a place where that will go in. Okay, just flip that over a minute so you can see the eyes sitting in there. Now one of them actually went right through, so I'll trim that one off now. And push them nice and tight against the body. And again, good old super glue. Just to fix it in place. And a little bit on the other side. Now you could, if you want to, just trim off these little bits if that takes your fancy, or you can leave it like that. I quite like to colour the legs in the same way as I did the crab's claws on the brown piece. And it is messy, as you can see by my fingers, and the effect actually is, I'll just lower the vice, it actually comes out like that. That sort of pleases my view on the crab, and it just finishes it off in my view. But if you want to leave them white, I actually saw a £28 permit cut on a very bare crab pattern, white legs, foam body, so it's up to you. Okay, but I'm going to leave that one there, and I'm going to colour the legs in later. If you want to colour them in, I use again the permanent marker, take the fly out of the vise and hold it against a piece of paper or card, and actually colour little dobs on the legs and the joints, but let it dry before you touch them. Okay, just to finish off, I've coloured the legs in, and I'm just going to add a little bit of UV resin. Not everybody likes to do this. This is the Fulling Mill glass resin. Just a little bit applied. Just gives the body a bit of strength. Just wait for that to come out. Don't overdo this, it makes it look unnatural. Just spread that around. That's plenty. Just spread it around with the tapping needle. It actually soaks into the flexi material. Get it off the hook, don't like that. Clean off the dubbing needle so it will get hard. You'll notice on this one I've actually put the eyes nearer to the actual eye of the hook. I like to do that just so that the hook sits up that way when it's under the water. Just a personal preference. Okay, so set off the UV resin with the torch. See how these eyes glow nicely under this UV. Okay, that should be enough. They do actually go off harder if you leave them in the sun. That is a good little crab pattern. That's the underside, not going to be seen very often. Top side. Okay. Now you can, if you're fishing in deeper water, actually tie 2 weighted eyes on there. I did this last year, but I found that was too heavy on a 9 weight. You need a 10 weight or more to cast that decently. Okay. And that's it. Hope you have some fun with it.